the big questions for me are over the leadership, the senior players, the captaincy, because I think too many times now we see this against Australia twice, see this against South Africa. We saw bits of it when they were in England as well, but I think we were willing to give them the benefit of the doubt. Then I think there's too many times the game starts to drift away, and DDS isn't putting in that intensity or changing things up in a way that you think, right, this could change things. This could we could break this partnership. We can get a wicket here. We can kind of really turn the screw and get back into it. And I think for me now, it's happening too frequently that you got to look at it and go, something's got to change here. I don't know. Maybe you want to have a conversation about the kind of wider management around the team as well, because SLC have told us this is the group that they brought the seniors back in to kind of lead us through it and to get us out of these tight situations. At the moment, that's not really happening. They told us this management team were there because they thought they could take Sri Lanka to the next level across all formats. Maybe that might be happening in other formats, but in Test cricket, feels to me in the last 6 months, Sri Lanka going backwards.
Yeah, I think the real sort of litmus test is when you compare DDS as a captain to what Steve Smith was doing. When things weren't going well, Steve Smith was constantly trying things, whether it's changing lines, moving fielders around, putting fielders in non-conventional spots. Whereas it seemed like plan B was just bowl a negative line, right, and try to dry up the runs. And there are some players that might work on. That might work on Ollie Pope or Zach Crawley or someone like that, but it's not going to work on Steve Smith. Right, that's just never a reasonable ploy to someone who scored over 10,000 runs in their career, and there was no sort of thinking, okay, well, what kind of things can we do to throw Australia off their expectations, right? Because a lot of sport is setting a team up to expect something, letting them prepare for it, and then giving them something just a little bit different, so that it makes them guess or second guess. And it's, to me, I think the one thing that's unacceptable is Australia countered with the sweep and the reverse sweep, right? And we sat back here 3 Mondays ago, and I raised the question. I said, Australia is going to play the sweep. We know that's how they're going to play in the subcontinent. We know that's what they feel comfortable with. And we didn't have an answer for that. Right. To me, what you do is, okay, we're going to put 2 fielders at 45 and say, do something other than score off the sweep. And until you prove that, right, force them to play the big shot down the ground, because that at least could lead to a top edge or something like that. Force them to do something different. And we've seen this, as you said, Mark, in England, in South Africa, having good plans. And I think DDS obviously bears a significant amount of responsibility for what's happening on the ground. But I think the management also deserves some blame here. One person, and I will call him out, PL Wijitunga, right? Like, we get guys who are good, naturally good spin bowlers, and we don't see them take any steps forward. They have the same plans. They have the same things. I will say Prabhat, he bowled much better in this test. He moved. We talked about bowling flatter and quicker, and he certainly did that. He had a few deliveries that were near 100 kph. He picked up on that. Nishan Puris also bowled better in that second test, but they should be ready to go from day one, right? Because what else does Prabhat and Nishan Puris have to prepare for? They're preparing for this test series, right? That should be the number one priority. And when you come in consistently in these first matches and you get blown out of the water, and it tells me that that team is not well prepared, right? When they should absolutely be well prepared. They have a home situation, and it's not enough to just say, okay, we're used to playing in these situations, we should be ready to go. But you should be trying to get every advantage, not just in terms of the pitch is good for us, but we have all the plans. We've sat through, we've thought it out. We've worked out 5 different ways to get out Steve Smith. We've looked at his pattern of dismissals. And they talk about the importance of data and analytics, but I don't see any reflection of data and analytics in the way that they're prepping for these matches. Sorry, I'm getting into uncle mode, but yeah.
No. I think this is one of those days where we've got to go total uncle, right? Like Murali End exists as a community of Sri Lankan cricket fans, right, and maybe wider cricket fans. We exist because we love Sri Lankan cricket, and part of loving it is we want to win, right? There's no point us two sitting here and going, the boys put in a good shift. Isn't it nice? The Aussies turned up. They had a good time. Look, Usman Khawaja and Steve Smith are going, heading back to Australia in the form of their lives suddenly. It's like, reality is when this team were coming over, we thought they'd done well and got lucky to win the BGT in home conditions, right? We fancied our team. We thought we were a team that could score runs and get wickets, particularly fancy them in Gaul, right? We come away from this series at the end of it thinking this, and suddenly they've made these Aussie team look like absolute world beaters. We were talking about, right, this is, there's about 5 or 6 players in this Australia side who are very close to the end of their careers. They might not even, if they have a bad series, they might not even make it to the Ashes next summer, right? Yeah. That's how the Aussie press are writing it all up. Now, I'm doing Aussie cricket podcast at the end of the day's play, and they're talking like, they're back to kind of late 90s, early noughties Australia again. Suddenly it looks like a team full of world beaters. I can't blame them for it. It's not their fault.
That we're giving hundreds to everybody, right? We're giving
hundreds to everyone. Yeah. You have 100. You have 100. It's like we've become the Oprah of cricket. You look at
funny thing is, we talked about Travis Head, and we thought he was going to be the point of difference, right? You control Travis Head, you kind of control the match, but we let everyone who was out of form get back in form.